I go to SUNY Downstate in Brooklyn. I'm a med student there. So I came to 180 through my roommate from med school. One of his closest friends, she brought me to the church and we all went together. I haven't missed a Sunday service since. As soon as I started hearing Pastor Sam speak, I knew he was legit because, like, the way he spoke, the way he, I guess, connected to I guess the people of our age group. I've never met a pastor that, curses you out, So like, yeah. Every time he spoke, I felt like this is something that I could apply to myself. Specifically, I guess, the one about skepticism. That was a good one. I recommend it. But it made me go from a skeptic to a worshiper. So, like I said before, it was probably skepticism. Like when I grew up Catholic, and I always felt like I believed. I feel like it didn't really enter my heart. I knew in my brain, I knew in my mind that he existed, God existed, Jesus existed. But I would pray. I would pray for, like, I guess, very shallow, very superficial things. I prayed to get into the program that I'm in, for Brooklyn College BAMD program, and also for the MCATs. I prayed really hard to get a passing score, because the first time I took it, I didn't do well, and I had to take it again, and there was a lot of pressure on me. So, I did what everybody does before exam. I was just like, God, please, just let me pass this exam, and when I got my grade back, I did really well, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. I guess I didn't really feel like I was missing anything in my life until last year of college. Towards the end of it, while it was good before, like, I still felt like there was something missing, and I didn't know what it was, so I felt like I needed to have this break in order to search for myself. I guess I tried searching for myself through various ways, like drinking or just living a very pagan lifestyle, partying and girls or whatever, whatever the case may be. I guess what it was I still have fun, but just at the end of the day when, I'm just sitting there thinking, I just felt like there's something missing in my life, I think I started coming to church in November, and then I came to Christ December 17th. For me, I just felt like the decision wasn't that hard. I just felt like the decision was meant to be. We were at Pastor Billy's apartment, and you asked me that famous question,
Right.
and I think
Just remind people what that question was.
If I was ready to come to Christ, and if I would, step into the house, and step into the open door, and I was. I found out later that one of my friends was praying that I would come to church. I would go to a church, find a church, and attend the church for 4 weeks, and then go to small group and come to Christ. And that's exactly like my story, The decision was easy. The aftermath was hard. After coming to Christ, I found out there's a lot that's required to be a Christian. They say that Christianity is, it's to make people happier or whatever. But for a while, I was really unhappy. I couldn't enjoy anything I used to enjoy. And whether it was drinking or partying or dancing, I'm a dancer. Not really, but slowly it's been easier more recently. I feel like I'm really finding out where I belong in this family, So they say happiness is very circumstantial, but I don't think the purpose of life is anymore, at least, is to just be happy, I just feel like now I feel blessed. you know, and that's just a state of being, and that's so much more important.
Hi, I'm Monica. I go to Stern. I'm a senior right now, about to graduate. So, yeah. Do you need my age?
If you don't want to.
I'm 21. Well, it was before they started the service here in New York, in Manhattan, and then our friend Andy told Mark and Bryant to come out. So then they dragged me out, and then we showed up to the first day. I think it was like this is the first like service they were testing out in Manhattan, and then ever since then I've been going. Well, first of all, I was surprised because I didn't fall asleep for like during a sermon, and that's like really big for me. I think that's what kept me going back. I really like Pastor Sam's sermon that day. I forget what it was about, but it was good. And I think I just like the atmosphere, I guess, and just like the type of sermon he was giving. It was more relevant to, I guess, me and like college students like me. Also in the small groups, Pastor Billy and Eddie were pretty intense. They were like, first couple of small groups I was kind of intimidated because they were like, oh, are you saved? Like, do you want to be saved? And then at first I felt a little uncomfortable, I guess, but then like I knew it was because they really cared and like they wanted me to take the leap, I guess. But I'm glad I like stayed with it. There was a period where I was a little shaky, but I'm glad I got through it. There's a lot of resistance. I think I'm just a skeptical person. Like, so I was really stubborn. I was very difficult. Pastor Billy will tell you. Probably did already. But I don't know. I just like didn't feel like jumping into it, and like I don't know. Part of me just didn't care enough, I guess. And I didn't want to feel like I was doing it for other people, or like I didn't want to feel pressured. I just wanted to do it on my own time. I remember I was like, oh, I'm not ready. And like, usually that's like a good enough answer to like move on to the next topic. Right. But then like Pastor Billy and Eddie are like, nobody's ever ready. I was like, gosh, oh man, it continues. But yeah, in the end, they got me. Oh, okay. Well, the funny thing is about when I came to Christ, or when I was saved, I was actually considering not coming out anymore for a little bit. I wanted to take a break, and I talked to Pastor Billy about it, and he was like, oh, just come to church, and then we'll talk about it after church. So I was like, okay. I was a little hesitant. I was like, oh no, it's gonna be one of those talks. And then I thought I had made up my mind already, but then like I went and then I spoke to Pastor Billy in like Union Square Park, and then it was after church. He just sat me down and we talked about like what I was going through and what was going through my mind, and I just like told him that I felt like I wasn't ready for this whole church thing and going back like and coming to Christ yet, and I just wanted to take a break from it. But I guess he convinced me after that talk that I might as well just go for it and like whatever. What am I gonna lose? My prayer to God that day was just like, oh, I'm gonna be really stubborn and I'm gonna fight you the entire way, but I guess I'll just like do it anyways. Like I have nothing to lose right now, and like I have all these excuses that I made, like why I couldn't get saved and why I didn't want to be saved, but I guess I just like kind of let those things go that day, and then yeah, instead of not coming to church anymore, I became saved and came to church more. So yeah, Pastor Billy. But that's how it happened. Yeah, and then at first nothing really seemed different right afterwards, and so like I told Pastor Billy and Eddie during small groups that I didn't feel any different, or nothing drastic had happened. So yeah, after a while I just kind of like coasted for a little bit and nothing happened. I don't think my faith grew that much, and then one day they just told me that I should challenge God. I might as well just ask for a prayer and see what he does. Yeah, so I was a little skeptical. So I thought about it and I was like, oh, might as well. If it doesn't work out, then I know that God's probably not there for me, or he's not there at all. So I decided to do it, and then I was thinking about what I should pray for, challenge God with. And at the time, it was during on-campus recruitment at Stern. And so a lot of juniors were going through the recruiting process, and like BK was one of the people going through the recruiting process. And I know he was having a hard time in the beginning finding a summer internship, and he was interviewing a lot of places, but he wasn't getting called back. So like I didn't want to pray or challenge God for anything for me personally. I just wanted to do it for someone else and see if it worked. So I prayed that BK would, he was looking for this HSBC position, so I prayed that he would get the summer internship with HSBC because he had felt good about the interview. But then, like 2 weeks later, he got like the rejection letter, so I was just kind of like, oh, God is not there, whatever. Like I challenged God, it didn't happen. I told Eddie and Pastor Billy that in small group, they were just kind of like, oh no. But then actually like a week or 2 weeks later, he actually got a call while we were in American Apparel, and BK did, and it was like another internship, and they called him back, and they had previously told him that they didn't want him for the internship, but then they called him back saying that they did. And like we were in American Apparel, he was just like, oh yeah, I'd love to take the offer, and then he got the offer while I was with him. So yeah, and then I forgot to tell Pastor Billy and Eddie about this until like a couple weeks ago. So they were kind of mad at me. But yeah, and then they were wondering why they thought they saw a change in me, but I don't know what change they're talking about. But I guess like I started to believe in God's power a little more, and I had a little more faith, I guess, after that happened. But I didn't think, I don't know, I'm really skeptical, so like I have a really hard time like thinking it's like, oh, it's all God. But like after that day, I felt a little better about everything. Honestly, I felt like he was saying, like, Monica, it's not on your time. It's on my time, and I'll do whatever I want, but it'll be, like, your prayer request. So, like, I feel like I learned that God will show up, but maybe not in the ways that we expect him to or want him to. And, like, for me, I like have a lot of expectations, and if they're not met, I'm just kind of like frustrated. So I guess like it was kind of humbling to be in that position and knowing that God did show up, but it wasn't like, it was after I had like already given up on him. So it was kind of like, Monica, stop being stupid. I guess try challenging God, I guess. Don't give up so easily, because I was ready to just like drop it and like and just not want, like I didn't want that feeling behind me like I should go to church and then have people always telling me I should go to church. Like I didn't like that at first, but then like you just have to get over that and then you come to this other place where you're just like more comfortable, and it's like I think you just have to ride out your skepticism and like that part in your life, or like the time in your life where you're just like you don't want accountability or responsibility, and you just have to like tough it out, and God will show up eventually in some way. You just have to keep your eyes open.
All right, then we have Sung here, and Sung, he's at private equity. Sung says that he's sold out to be in finance. He's sold out to be in finance. And then Sung?
I feel like I'm just going to regurgitate the movie. So,
yeah, I feel the same way.
So the way I came to 180 Church was through this movie I saw last year, and right after I saw it, I went to Pastor Sam and I said, "Who's this Tay guy? Can I meet him? Because he sounds like my twin." So, you know, my background's the same, immigrant family, high school on Staten Island, unfortunately. But then, you know, I had the same desire, the same greed, or the same chip on my shoulder that everyone else here has. And I went to MIT, studied aerospace engineering for 4 years, decided that it wasn't going to be enough. So I came to New York, did finance, I did research, banking, private equity. Next week I'm moving to another private equity firm. So, all my life, I was always in control, right? All right, so I got rejected by girls now and then. In terms of like the bigger things in life, right? So some of the important things, like getting to the school I wanted to go to, or getting the banking job I wanted, getting the top bonus, or getting the private equity job that I wanted with a good work-life balance where I can drink in my free time. All of that. I can, I was at the point where I thought I was the boss of my life, right? My sister goes to NYU right now. I'm paying for her tuition. I invested in my bonuses in my mother's business. Whatever I could do to help my mother, my father, my sister, my friends. I threw everything out there. And then I went through an experience last year where my mother had a near-death experience. And that's when I really realized, just to give you a background, I'm a PK. So my father's a pastor. I was born into the church. I grew up in the church, but it never hit me until last year. My mother was, face to face with death. Thank goodness she's okay. And then I look back on all the years of my life and all those goals I set for myself and all of those doubts I had about Christianity, about faith, about God, and that kind of like 1-2 day span, I realized that no matter what I did, no matter how much money I spent to invest in my family or myself, or no matter how many friends I had, or all the great things I had accomplished on my resume, ultimately I had no control. So that was really rough for me. Like I was like messed up. But that was the single event in my life that made me realize it doesn't matter. I have no control. No matter how much I want it, it's not up to me. So that's what I went through. I talked to everybody and kind of met this family here. And now I find myself, I asked the same questions when Pastor Sam, prayed for me. I was like, wait, does that mean I have to quit my job? Can I still go out with my friends? But I've come to realize that those doubts I had, those questions that I had, I used to seek answers from them. I used to find some person that I thought was a diehard Christian, trap them and be like, well, tell me why you think this is right. Give me some evidence, because my father's a pastor. I know all this stuff better than you anyway. So I used to talk. I was a jerk about that.
I remember that.
But what I'm beginning to realize that I've been asking the wrong questions, and my doubts they're not the right questions to ask. They're irrelevant. Right? Once you realize the truth, or discover Christ, none of that matters.
Amen.
So that's my story.
Thank you.
So there is a point. One thing I really appreciate about the guys in this church, especially Pastor Sam, is that when he's mad at you, he will not hide it. And this has personally been really helpful for me because he keeps me accountable. So like I said, I did investment banking for 2 years, and I've been doing private equity for the past 2. There was a point where I was just so busy. I missed every single small group and every Sunday service for like 6 weeks straight or something, right? And he had texted me a few times, like, what's up, what's going on, where are you? He like stalks me on Facebook. Always like IMing me and stuff, so I'm just like, oh no, here's Pastor Sam, I have to think of an excuse, but, I am busy, but I told him that last week, and then eventually he just kind of texts me. He starts up gently, he goes, okay, I'm going to be a little bit harsh on you here, colon. And then he just went off on me. And what I realized from that is he said, it's not just that you haven't physically been to church, it's not that you haven't shown up at small group, but I know that Jesus is not present in your life right now. Right? It's not just that you're not physically there, but I know the way you're living your life right now and over these past 6 weeks that he hasn't been in your heart, right? Maybe he's lucky, maybe he's right, but that really hit me. And it's a thought process, right? I don't do anything differently from the way I used to. I still work hard. I still go out for drinks with my coworkers, right? I still go out on dates. I still go to Circle. You know.
He swears he likes the music.
It's the music. That's why I don't play Hero. But I'm interviewing. I interviewed last month for the largest technology-focused private equity firm in the world, and I got the offer in 2 weeks. I was the last one in the process and the first one to get an offer. And I really, before any test, you go, please God. Like, I know I haven't prayed to you a lot, but please let me pass this test because I promise you I'll go through it. When I walked into those interview rooms, I was a mess because I had been working like 80 to 100 hours a week, working on like various deals all over the country or whatever. But when I went in there and I prayed to God, I figured, okay, here comes the obligatory prayer to God. When I realized my thought process had changed when I said, God, I really want this. I really want this job, and I really want you to want you to think that this is right for me. But if you don't think this is right for me, I can accept that because I know I'll be fine. But if this is your purpose for me, please let it work. So I really hope that His purpose for me is the purpose I wanted for myself. Right? That's what I was praying for. But that's when I realized that my thinking was starting to change. It wasn't just about me. It was about my purpose and His purpose for me. So, yeah, the hours were hard. Sometimes, like during Easter, I would just tell my VP or tell the MD, like, listen, I got to go to church, and they would respect that. But more importantly is keeping Christ in your mind and your heart. So, sorry for the long answer.
Kim. I'm a sophomore at Tottenville High School. I'm 15, turning 16 soon. Woo!
My name is Hung Yu Hong, and I'm 16 years old, and I attend Tottenville High School. And yeah, I first heard about 180 through Puffy, and well, I first heard about it because he told us that there was a barbecue, and well, I didn't want to go at first, but he convinced me to go, and everybody was going, and there's free food, so I might as well just go, so I just went. The
biggest difference was that, like, Pastor Sam's sermons, like, they made a lot of sense to me, It was just like, it just made a lot of sense, and he said it in a way that was real, that wasn't, like, sugar-coated and candied up or all Christianized, So it was easier to relate to, what he was saying.
Try to remember as best possible, but it was like day before half day, and no one really goes to school on a half day, so I asked John if I could sleep over the office. I wouldn't think he would say yes, but he did, apparently. And that night, someone else came to Christ, so I forgot who. But John was like, oh, you're coming to Christ, I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I was like, I don't want to, actually. I don't know, but I kind of did at the same time. But I just want to see how far we go. So I was like, all right, I don't want to go into Christ. But John was like, all right, fine. You don't have to go to school if you come to Christ. So I was like, all right, I don't know, school or Christ. So I was like, so John was like, I don't know, it's your choice. I'm like, all right, yeah, it is my choice. So I'm like, so it was like around like late at night. I was playing Pastor Joe in a video game, but basically I just betted him, like, if he beat me, that I'd come to Christ. And yeah, well, at first I beat him, but then I was getting a little cocky, getting big-headed, so I was just like, Pastor Joe versed me again, so I could whoop God's ass again. So I was like, all right. And then yeah, he beat me. I don't know how. Surprisingly, he did, because I'm 10 times better than him. But yeah. He beat me, and I came to Christ that night through a video game. Besides, like, my family, it means a lot because it's like some people I look up to him as like my dad and stuff, like John and like Pastor Sam. I never really had a dad just growing up, and I always had to like do things myself, and I didn't really have help. basically it's like this helped me a lot to get through everything, because it gave me like a dad and stuff. Last time I spoke to my dad was on the phone on my birthday, because I asked him to just like, I don't know, just wish me happy birthday, because well, I'm turning 16. I thought I was like getting old and stuff. So, but then like I didn't realize that he actually left my family, because my mom and my sister were like telling me like, oh, you'll come back, just like, I don't know, try not to make me like too sad about it. But yeah, I did call him. I thought that he canceled his number or something like that. But then I called him again. He picked up. He just like, I mean, yeah, he picked up, and it was someone talking in Korean, so I just knew it was him, because I can't just coincidentally just call somebody and then it's just like a Korean person, whatever. Yeah. So it sounded like him too, so I knew it was him. But then I told him like, because I wanted like to rent something and I needed his credit card, and I was like, it's my birthday and stuff. And I was already sad because like I thought he forgot, but then he just like told me like, oh, who is this? I was like, yo, I'm like, it's me, it's Hungyu, it's like your son. And then he just like, oh, I don't know who this is and stuff. He just hung up, and I was like, just kind of like, I didn't really know what happened because I was in shock. But like, yeah, that was like, yeah, it just blew over. But then it just blew over that night because I didn't understand what really happened. So yeah, after like, and then after small group ended, I forgot some topic was like, think about, I forgot what the topic was, but it brought up like I was just thinking about something. I was just thinking about like that moment. Like it just came to me. Like I forgot it after like 3 months. It just came right back to me. I was like, oh crap, he really like basically abandoned me. So I was just like, just. Yeah. Well, I feel more comfortable now, and I don't always, like, I try to, like, not think about my real father too much, but now that I have better fathers that are here to comfort me and stuff, like, whenever I need, like, need help, and it just feels good, and, like, honestly, I don't take it for granted, like, any day. Like, I know I'm thankful every day to God that He blessed me with like better people to help me in my problems. I look up to Him because, yeah, basically they are like my parents and family. So I know they wouldn't abandon me too. So I have my trust in them too. One moment that really got to me was like when Pat Sam took me to the game. It was good because, and it felt like I was in the right hands because, like my real dad, like he brought me to a game before, and just going to another game with like someone that's like a father figure to me, really meant a lot to me, and I wouldn't think I would experience something like that again, but it was even 10 times better than what my like what happened before, because I got better seats, and I got to see like LeBron up close and stuff, so it was cool.
To me, the Father's House project is, it's kind of just, like, I know it was because of, like, tackling fatherlessness in our own backyards and stuff. Like, it's kind of that, because, like, all these kids, including myself, all this fatherlessness stuff, it sucks, and it's not like we're the only kids on it. And I know from talking to some friends and stuff that a lot of Staten Island kids, or, you know, just kids around, like, my generation are, like, you know, dealing with that issue, you know, like, messed up families and stuff. And I just, when I think of Father's House Project, I think everyone can come here. Everyone can be here and just, you know, learn and grow together. And I'm just like, when I think of Father's House Project, it's gonna be like this big thing to me. It's not like this little, you know, Staten Island thing. It'll be like huge. It'll really grow, and I believe that it'll change everyone's lives.
give you a 3-minute talk on portraits of real faith for real people. You know, one of the things about when we started 180 was that we decided that we would, do no bullshit. And they tell you, all the people told you that, I cursed them out, and it's true. I do. And I say that I'm a poster boy for why people need Jesus Christ. I'm one of them, and I say don't trip because God's working on me. And I'm the least holy person. I mean, I work out, I live my life with integrity and all that, but the attitude of heart, things like that, God's still sanctifying me, still working in me. And when I watch this film, this short story, I think of what the great cultural theologian Michael Bay created in Transformers. Transformers is a show, it's a cartoon actually, I used to watch in the early 80s or late 80s, every day before school. And if you think about it, Transformers, what the hell is interesting about cars? Nothing, right? It's boring. But what makes Transformers interesting is that they're living cars. Right? They move, they change, they talk. It's the personification of these, just regular things that don't have life. And a lot of times I think a lot of people growing up in metropolitan areas, they see the church like dead things, just like, places. The church as, just buildings, just stones, places where you go to try to be a good person when you can never be a good person. But what the Bible says is that the church is called to be living stones. Living stones that make up the house of God. What makes a church interesting is not the building or the stones or the seats or the songs. What makes a church interesting if it's living? Amen? What you've seen in the last couple of minutes is a living church. The Bible talks about the church not being a building, but about people. Real people. People with real educations. A lot of times the stigma of the church is that, people who go to church are dumb and poor. There's a lot of misconceptions, People who need God are weak and vulnerable. You might be, you saw some of the people, they think they're smart. All the people in here, they went to Stern, they went to MIT, some worked at Goldman Sachs. They think they're smart, and that's one of the biggest problems in the world. And that's why we had the world financial collapse. They all thought they were smart, right? So there's a misconception about people. See, you could be poor, you could be rich, but the ultimate factor is, you could be weak, but the truth is everybody is bankrupt without purpose. You're just, living 2,600 weeks, okay? That's 50 years, 2,600 weeks. You can count it. And through the film, you see no matter how rich or how poor, without God, you can't make sense of your life. You saw living stones. See, I don't believe in Jesus because I have nothing better to do. I don't believe in Jesus because I'm weak or stupid. I'm effed up. I mean, that's what we say here. Everybody knows Captain effed upness. But the point is, when God enters people's lives, just strictly even from an existential point of view, some of us might be skeptics, some of us might have grown up in church and never really encountered the gospel in its fullness. And the truth is, if you're open to the truth, not a worldview, not a religion, but to the truth, and invite God to come into your life. I mean, I don't know how many people challenge God. In my experience, before we wrap this up, everybody comes to me and challenges God. And I go, you're going to be toast. Right? Monica said it well. God will come, show up, not in your terms or by your time frame, because He's God, stupid. If He did exactly what you said, it would be a lucky charm or a genie. God is bigger than that. God, you can't control God. And one of the things that I witness is people that are open to God. It's not a psychological phenomenon. God actually shows up and changes people's lives. A lot of smart people there. And God's changed their life totally. I mean, are they perfect? No. Wow. I mean, we have movies about imperfection. We have movies about effed upness. But But that's the reason why Jesus came and died on the cross and resurrected. Because he knows that it's impossible to be good or find your own purpose by yourself. You need a community. You need a family. So today, if you're here, to church because of Easter, or you're here because of whatever reason, my advice to you, like I give everybody, is be real. And let real faith and the real God show up. It'll change your life, absolutely. It'll change everything. The gospel will change everything. It's done in my life. That's why I'm here in Easter. That's why some of you are here. And I pray that you would be open, you'd be honest, and you'll let God show up. And that's my prayer for you today.